The SS Argus, built by the American Shipbuilding Company of Lorain, Ohio, and launched on August 5th of 1903. The Argus was actually named the SS Lewis J. Woodruff when she was first constructed. She would later be renamed to the Argus in 1913. The Argus had a length of 436 feet. She had a beam of 50 and a height of 28 feet, and she could carry a crew of up to 25 at a time. The Argus would also have a sister ship named the Hydrus, who would also be fatefully lost in the terrible 1913 storm. The Hydrus, much like the Argus, was also built by the American Shipbuilding Company of Lorain, Ohio. She also had a length as well of 436 feet, a beam of 50, and a height of 28 feet. Both of these freighters would come with a triple expansion steam engine installed within them. The Argus was originally owned by the Gilchrist Transportation Company, which was based in Cleveland, Ohio. Later, in 1913, the Argus would then be sold to the Interlake Steamship Company, and then that is where she received her renaming from the Lewis J. Woodruff to the Argus. Being a bulk cargo freighter, the Argus would spend her time on the Great Lakes transporting coal, iron ore, and grain. Primarily, though, the Argus would spend her time again transporting iron ore downbound from Lake Superior from Duluth, Minnesota, and Superior, Wisconsin. She would deliver her cargo to the steel mills along the lower lakes, particularly in Ohio and in Indiana as well for her destinations. For her return journey, she would come carrying a cargo of coal, and she would head to the ports like Toledo or Sandusky. When the Argus was sold, she would be placed under the command of Captain Paul Dutch, and he would be overseeing the transition to the new fleet of the Argus. And in the spring and summer of 1913, the Argus would take her initial voyages under her new name and ownership. In all, the Argus would spend about 10 years sailing across the Great Lakes, and she would have a very good career. However, this would come to a tragic end on November 9th of 1913. November 9th, 1913. The SS Argus, under the command of Captain Paul Dutch, was making her way north on Lake Huron. So, as the Argus was making her way into the horrible white hurricane of 1913, she would be loaded down heavily with a load of coal, and she would be weighing around 7,000 tons as she would meet this disaster head on. Now, the Argus would be met with hurricane-force winds that would be well over 80 miles an hour, and there would be blinding snow whiteouts as well. She would also have up to 35 to 40 feet high waves that would smash against her. Now comes the tricky part, as we do have conflicting reports and evidence. Did the SS Argus, in fact, break apart on the surface during the storm? This information coming from an eyewitness, from Captain Walter C. Eiler of the steamer George C. Crawford, who would go on to say that he observed the Argus struggling in heavy seas. He said that massive waves would go on to suspend the bow and stern of the Argus, and this would leave the midsection unsupported, to which the vessel would break in two and rapidly sink. Now, the reason this report is in question is because the SS Argus is believed to be actually in one piece, upside down, on the bottom of Lake Huron. Now, another theory as to why the SS Argus may not have actually broken apart on the surface during the storm is because that of her sister ship, the SS Hydrus, who would also sink, may have been the vessel that Captain Walter saw. The wreck of the Hydrus is in 160 feet of water, and she is in an upright, though intact position. However, her hull has been severely damaged and the bow is twisted at a 45-degree angle from the rest of the ship. Did Captain Walter actually witness the Hydrus sinking instead of the Argus, and did he mistake it because they were sister ships? I'm not sure myself, though it is quite interesting. Now, one last thought here before we move on with our story. I did reach out to our friend Rick Mixter and asked his thoughts into the sinking of the Argus, to which he said, "I don't think anyone knows for sure." Rick pointed out Robert McGreevy's artwork, which shows a ripped rudder, which could possibly mean it lost its steerage and then flipped in the storm. However, much like me, Rick is not 100% sure. Either way, the SS Argus and the SS Hydrus would be lost in the 1913 storm. And tragically, 25 men would lose their lives on the Argus. The Argus would sink around 13 miles north of Point Aubarks, Michigan, and she rests in about 250 feet of water. The Argus would be discovered in 1972 by the diver Dick Race. Much like many of the shipwrecks in the lower Great Lakes, the Argus is unfortunately encrusted with zebra mussels. How long we will have her for, I'm not entirely sure. However, from another report, as of 2023, the Argus still receives sport dives, and she is considered a historical resource site and is protected. What exactly did the last moments of the SS Argus really look like before she sank in Lake Huron? This may forever be a mystery. However, may the 25 lives that were lost aboard her never be forgotten. Oh man, guys, so many thoughts on this one. As there was 12 ships in total that were lost during this terrible storm, and I've covered almost all of them. Not all of them yet, but almost all of them. And at least with this one, I'll say that there was help. It was very helpful having, like, for information-wise at least, being able to see what happened to the Hydrus. Now, my thoughts exactly, especially after asking Rick his opinion, I think maybe she did lose steerage and then flipped over completely. You know, I'm not saying that the witness report from the Captain Walter, I'm not saying he's a liar or it's false what he saw. Perhaps he did actually witness the Hydrus, and through terrible visibility, I mean, how could he be blamed for making a possible mistake with the exact ship, being that they were sister ships, almost identical dimensions and everything, that he thought was the Argus would actually have been the Hydrus. You know, if that's true, that would actually kind of make more sense that he actually saw the Hydrus sinking as the state of her wreck on the bottom, compared to the Argus, which is upside down and, for as far as I can tell, still in one piece. Maybe there is some damage or cracking in her midsection, but I don't know. I was stumped on this one a lot, and I'm glad I asked Rick his advice on this. Brother Rick, thank you for your help on this one. We may never know, and but yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on the Argus and the Hydrus too? You know, did they get the ships? Did Captain Walter on the other steamer get them mixed? Which I wouldn't blame him, again, like I said, because of the snow. Or do you think that she actually did break apart in two on the surface? Let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, I thank you guys so very much for joining me on this episode. Your support means so much. Thank you, everybody, so very much for joining me each and every episode. Again, at least during the recording of this video, don't forget the Shipwreck Festival is at the end of this month, February 28th. I really hope to see many of you guys there, as I cannot wait to go out there and support the festival and all the amazing speakers and booths and whatnot that's there. It's going to be an amazing time, and I'm not a booth, I'm not a speaker or a vendor or anything, but I'm going to be there enjoying it as much as I absolutely can and supporting everything about it. But thank you guys. Again, one last note here. Check the merchandise out if you're interested. Pick yourself something out awesome. And it's always cool seeing you guys say that you find things, shirts, whatnot. But yeah, thank you again so very much. God bless you all. And I will see you again on the next episode of Songs of the Great Lakes.